What's up, guys, addicts, everyone here. Today we're doing Goblin Slayer episode 11. So there was a delay. There's no longer a delay. And this episode was pretty good.
It was really good. I think this episode was probably one of my favorite episodes of the season. Probably hands down was, just because of the scale of things. But yeah, we get a really good gathering. I think this episode, if I remember, it was called Gathering of the Adventurers. And I mean, it's just like the name says, we get to see Goblin Slayer recruiting basically everybody out of the Adventurers Guild in this one town to help against the attack of like over 100 goblins that are led by the, I guess, notorious like goblin leader class, Goblin Lord. And yeah, we just get to see them slaughtering. And it's like the first half of this battle. And I mean, that's like the whole episode. But there's a lot of good little moments as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few little moments, but for the most part, there's the battle. You get to see all the characters who have generic names fight. We're talking about what is it? Witch, I guess. She has some pretty cool powers as like a support. Also, the voice acting in this episode in general was really great. And we got to see the animations was great for the most part. We had blood, good fights. They utilized pretty much all the characters we've come to know. Priestess didn't do too much in this episode, but
yeah, I don't think we've seen. I don't know if she really. Yeah, I don't think I saw her. I mean, she maybe used one spell, but I know we saw like the dwarf and the witch take like the forefront on like spell usage. So they're probably saving her magic for later, or maybe like last defense in the farmhouse. But yeah, the way I want to talk a little bit about how like Goblin Slayer got like the recruitment basically, and how like his other, I guess. Adventure in arms, if you want to call it, or his party kind of helped lead everybody into coming up to this battle, because you find the adventurers like they kind of persuade at the end to like do it not because of money, but still like that was like their main thing was getting paid. And so it's like a good way to highlight that they're like like they're good, but like not really, like. Because, I guess it's safe to say that, like, in most shows, like, adventurers are pretty dicks.
Yeah, I mean, it depends from show to show. For the most part, if you're looking at, like, a PG-13 harem, transport to another world, group of adventurers, if you look at, like, the generic archetype, you'll be like, oh, adventurers are, like, generically good, and there's some that are bad, but mostly they're great. And this one, it's like, they're kind of good. They help the world, but they also are in it for themselves.
Yeah. Like, it literally got to the point where they're like, we're okay with, like, taking everything you have, but, like, you're, like, putting, like, your servitude of, like, putting your life in terms of, like, service. Like, okay, that's going a little bit far. It had to get to that point, so you're like, But, yeah, I thought that was really cool seeing that. We got Guild Lady being like basically the best bro of like, we're gonna put the guild online to like pay these people so Goblin Slayer doesn't have to lose everything. So I thought that was a cool moment. Plus, the battle itself was like, I guess a bigger scale than I thought it was gonna go. I mean, I was hoping for this, but I wasn't. My like realistic expectations was like, okay, I don't know if we're gonna get this, but I was really excited to see that we actually got that.
Yeah, we got to see. I don't know if we're gonna see any more of it, but get to see. Silver ranked adventurers and other high ranked adventurers go against goblin champions and hobgoblins.
Yeah, because they got a lot.
Yeah, they got a lot. We I don't know if we saw the conclusion of that battle really, and then we at the very end you got a sneak peek of I think what's going to be a 1v1 versus the Goblin King versus Goblin Slayer. Again, Priestess may be in that fight. I don't know. Maybe there's one or two people that are helping him, but we'll have to see. What exactly happens?
I feel like for the last battle, or like the last episode where they're battling, I kind of hope that they go back and forth, with showing them at the farmstead and then Goblin Slayer doing 1v1, because if we just had the 1v1, I'm like those are like interesting, and especially with Goblin Slayer's character, like that'll be a really, I guess. I don't want to say maybe life or death because he's probably not going to die because he already did that. But you know what I mean. There's going to be a little bit more stake into it. But because if you only had like him, I would assume that like Priestess would just have to show up, and it's like why did she just show up by herself? But if they have it to where it's like the farmstead, and then like somehow they break through the lines or they sneak past the lines, and then like Priestess is like the last stand at the farmstead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think anybody's gonna die? Because I was, we talked about the last one where we're like, we feel like there needs to be stakes where some important people die, but I feel like at least the vibe I was getting in this one, it doesn't look like anybody important's gonna die. Obviously, there was a few adventurers that died, but
not. I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard for people to. I'm not an author, so I don't know, how all character development works. But I think it's hard for people to die who are close to Goblin Slayer. But it wouldn't be impactful unless it's someone in his party. Because even if Witch or Spearman dies, did they die for a purpose? Was it worth it for them dying? And I think it's also too soon for people in his party to die because we're just starting to get to know him.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of hard for anyone else important to die. One thing, and I could be misremembering because it's been 6 or 8 months since I've read the books. Goblin Slayer, the books, but in this one we really didn't get an internal dialogue between the goblins and as they were working, and the goblin. I think in the book the Goblin King's like, oh, I need to escape now. Once I escape, I can come back and we can be stronger, and then we go and defeat the humans.
That one might be a good way to open up the last episode where it recaps the battle, but it's from the goblins' perspective.
Yeah, maybe they'll do that. That's something I like that perspective in the novels, and I know it's hard because. In the context of the show, goblins are not only evil, but they don't have mildly high intelligence or whatever. But I don't know. We'll see if they do that.
Yeah, because it's hard to give them a perspective without humanizing them.
So, a little bit, yeah.
They're still monsters, so who cares?
Yeah, they can all die. But I really like this episode. It was one of my favorites, as Josh said earlier. The action was really great. And I like seeing all the characters and seeing the new powers that they showed. Yeah,
and they're definitely highlighting that Goblin Slayer, even though he's not the strongest hero, even on the battlefield or that we've seen in the show, he is his intellect and using his strategies and everything that is a formidable thing about him. He outshines other people.
I wonder. If his legend is going to spread. Maybe the heroes, who defeated the Demon Lord, they can go and meet Goblin Slayer every once in a while. I don't. Obviously, I don't know. That's not gonna be this season, but I think that'd be a good thing to draw on, the mythos of Goblin Slayer growing further and further in the world. Yeah,
I will say there was one good adventurer. I'll put quotations because we don't really know him, but the one guy that I guess he was a paladin, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm just in it for the money." But then we got one of his other friends being like, "Oh yeah, I know you're probably just helping him because he killed all the goblins in your hometown when it really needed it." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's not true." But you kind of realize that that's him. So there is good people there, but I do like that little part because for Goblin Slayer, I don't think they tackled the whole caring about the characters all that much, and so I feel in this episode they actually did it pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
any other thing you want to talk about this episode?
No, not really. We covered everything. I just maybe a little bit about the action itself. I think the way they did it, at times it felt maybe a little choppy, and that's not in the animation. It was just in the shots. How they. I guess it's an artistic style. So don't get me wrong. Where they're they show the goblins and they stutter, and then they do the black and then the slices. Those are cool sometimes. I'm not too into that kind of style, but I think for what they were going for and everything, I think they did it pretty well. And even there's very few CGI scenes, but I think those were probably one of the better versions of their CGI.
Yeah, I think they probably took a lot of time to actually animate this episode.
That may be because of the delay. Yeah. That might have been what they were doing. But overall, I think it was pretty great. And I think, at least from current memory, I'll have to go digging some more when we do a full review. But I think this one's my favorite episode.
Yeah, so there may be 1 or 2 more episodes of Goblin Slayer. Stay tuned for the full review once we get done with this. And we'll see you guys next time. I really like this episode.
It's very true. See you later. Peace, Addicts.